Woodstock 99. It's a music box documentary is what they're calling it. I think that's the season of
Yeah, film series of
documentaries.
documentaries.
Yeah, thank you. And you know, what I found interesting and why I really wanted to kind of tune into this is Woodstock 99 for me growing up, and especially as I started to like go to music festivals and kind of think about what I wanted to get out of those experiences going, kind of felt almost like this like music festival that defined the direction that music festivals were going in and that they kind of took a right turn from. Um, because the stories you heard about it was like legendary lineup, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and when they're at their most famous, Rage Against the Machine, after just after I think Battle of L.A. Had dropped. This time in music where
Mhm.
bands like Korn, Limp Bizkit were huge, and mosh pits, rioting, things lighting on fire, just like total wildness at these festivals. And by the time festivals had become modified and we started going to them, music festivals just were not this type of experience, and that's a good thing because this experience seems like hell. And I felt like the documentary Woodstock '99 really captured a lot of the essence of what made this situation kind of a powder keg. But I'm not sure if it fully colored in all the parts of the picture for me. How did you feel Woodstock '99 did as a documentary explaining what went on that weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I think it does a good job. I mean, I'm sure you could add another hour to the movie and even
Mhm.
go further in depth of what happened. But like, for the sake of making a documentary film, I understand why it was as long as it was. Um, yeah, I mean, I liked all the Talking Head stuff. I thought they were all well picked. You know, they had Stephen Hyden in this, the music writer who hosted the Ringers Break Stuff Luminary podcast series about Woodstock 99. So this is almost like the sequel to that from the Ringer side of things. And yeah, I would like more. There were certain narratives that I think you could have poked more into, but I still liked it. There's a lot of like good footage of this. I think the one key thing I've seen brought up is that there's kind of a gratuitous amount of showing the naked women in
Mhm.
this. It's like I thought that a point was pretty effective. We probably don't need to
Go
show all
back to it
these
over
because it
and over
kind of
again.
just brings questions of like, do these people know they're being shown in that? Like, I'm like, it's kind of weird, right? Like,
Yeah.
so that was something that I started to notice. It's like, all right, like towards the end, I don't need to see the 30th girl being groped, with
Mhm.
no shirt on, But I still think overall it kind of like the message is good. Like it talks about the right things, but we could have went harder on the promoters. I think that's clear. They still dig their own graves when they talk to the camera, but we still could have, I
Mhm.
think, maybe had other talking heads be more combative about that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that promoter, what was his name, like Peter Schur or something like
Yeah,
that,
sure,
got a lot.
share some of that.
Yeah, he got a lot of screen time. Comes across as a villain in a lot of this because he's blaming the women for the sexual assaults that they experienced because of choosing to show their breasts or what they
It's
chose to wear
John
not to
Share.
wear. John Sure, he came across just very slimy to me in this, and I feel like they kind of kept going back to him. So almost similarly to the gratuitous nature of how often they showed women flashing the crowd or being topless, kind of giving him more and more screen time. I understand they were trying to build up the other perspective, but felt just almost like we get it and we know what this guy's take is. I would have liked to hear a little bit more from the women, but I also, you mentioned that like extra hour of the documentary. There was a question posed at the beginning of the documentary, which is like I forgot who it was, might have been like Moby or something like that, but they said like there was a lot of anger at this festival, but
Mm.
they never really answered the question of why all these white males were so angry going into this festival, right? And I didn't feel like we really got a lot of that answer. I think that another half hour to hour exploring the social and political atmosphere that probably played a part into this would have helped build out that picture a little bit more, especially because they juxtapose it with Woodstock '94, which 5 years earlier seemed like it was very much in the same vein of Woodstock, the original Woodstock, which was like very like lovey,
Mm,
peaceful, people kind of just like enjoying being there. Whereas this like it became a riot basically. So
right.
um, I would have been more interested to hear more about that. But overall, I found this to be a really interesting look at this experience.
Yeah, yeah, because he kind of like moves through it quick, right? You get the stuff about Carson Daly and TRL and a backlash to the mainstream and invasion of the pop teeny bopper boy bands and stuff from like the Disney realm, right? Britney, Backstreet, NSYNC, etc. And later on, you get the reference of like someone says it's like all these white kids. Most of these are middle aged white kids anyway, and they have this angst, and it's like they so angry about their still pretty good lives, and it's like yeah, there was more to speak on there. It's like again like
Yeah.
no one went to Woodstock without at least some means, right? Yes, people
No.
snuck in, they busted down the fence and snuck in, but you still had to get there, right? So like it's not
Totally.
like people super down on their luck were at Woodstock 99. These were people with means, and that I guess even more so seeing what manifest, right, with the rioting and stuff.
Hmm.
It's yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
I wanted more dressing down on the promoters.
Yeah.
you have what's his
Fuck those
name?
guys.
Lang, um
Mm.
who was there from the start. Michael Lang, the promoter
Yep.
behind all the Woodstocks.
Yeah.
Just they're like, yeah, Michael Lang, kind of a doofus, and it's like, yeah, can we get more of that? Like,
Yeah.
do you see how like incompetent this was set up? Like, we've both been to festivals. It's like just seeing how shitty it was done. No
Well,
pun
and
intended.
this
Like,
is
it was ridiculous.
you can go back and check out our discussions of the potential Woodstock 50 celebration
That's
2
right.
years ago, where we were like, you know, that chance actually comes together, but it's really intriguing to see all these big names potentially playing together. And Michael Lang, they kind of showed at the end of this
Mhm.
documentary, just it pretty much seems like he has no real capability of putting together a legitimate festival at this point. Like the logistical side of things just does not seem to be his strong suit. He seems to be more of a conceptual
Mhm.
person. But yeah, I think they could have gone way more into him. I do feel like the way that they made Coachella look at the end, it almost kind of felt like an ad for Coachella. Like, look how shitty this experience was, and look at the experience you can have at Coachella every year, which is fair to like put them side by side, but you could have been like, this happens at Lollapalooza
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Bonnaroo as well, but like to choose Coachella specifically felt a
Yeah, I
little
think that
off
would
to
have been
me.
nice if they're like there's several really large grand scale festivals in the US right now, and Coachella is the biggest and the longest running of them, but like
Mhm.
to single out Coachella, I was like, huh, this is like kind of like out of place in a certain sense. Like I
Yeah,
liked how they were put against each other, but yeah, I mean that's another I think another angle to this, right? It's like we could have seen history of music festivals post Woodstock 99. There's a lot of me in that bone too.
totally. And I think just to kind of finish that point, Governor's Ball would have been a great one to I think highlight because it's probably one of the biggest ones that still is independent from any big industry influence at this point, totally run by
Right.
just that group. I forgot what their
Golden Voice,
name
is
is.
it?
Yeah. I don't think Golden Voice. I think it's just like the
Mm.
group that originally started it runs it themselves. But um anyways, I think that's enough for Woodstock 99. Check it out on HBO Max.